Hi, welcome to the newest episode of Toki Talk, which is the town's podcast series. We're here today to talk about some of the fun activities that are available to us here on Kiawah. When most of us started coming here, it was as a tourist or as a vacationer, and we'd spend our week or 2 weeks on the golf course or the tennis court or even the pickleball courts nowadays, or on the beach. But now that we've got a lot of new faces here on Kiawah, we thought it would be a great time to talk about some of the other activities that are available to us here. So I have the great pleasure of being joined today by three of our community's finest, Betsy Hartman and Barbara Patton and Beth Tomei. And we're going to talk about some of the activities that you guys are involved with and how some of the other Kiawah residents might take advantage of those opportunities. So, Barbara, let's start with you. Okay. What are two of the things that you're involved with that you enjoy the most?
Well, I think one of the things I should say is you said we all kind of came here as tourists or visitors. And I remember years ago people saying, well, what's to do on Kiawah? It's very remote. There's not much to do. And I think about that fast forward 25, 30 years, and there's so much to do that and just makes your lifestyle so much better. So I'm mostly involved, and I shouldn't say mostly, but mainly involved with the fitness activities on Kiawah. And I thank goodness for the Sandcastle, because they not only have a wonderful fitness center and a gym, but there are so many things that go on within that building that, you know, if you're there for a fitness class in the morning, you can kind of hang around and join any number of club activities in the afternoon.
Do you do water aerobics?
I do water aerobics sometimes, but what I mostly do at the Sandcastle are the classes, and I like the early morning classes. The instructors are wonderful. You can get anything from a range of dance classes to weights and fitness classes. So I do a lot of that. And I also spend a lot of time up at the Bar Tennis Center, formerly playing tennis, but now play a lot of pickleball. And so...
As I recall, you played with Arthur Ashe once.
I did play doubles with Arthur Ashe back in the day. And so I played tennis for a lot of years and then found pickleball probably 5 or 6 years ago here, and was playing both for a while, and then pickleball kind of took over my life.
As has happened with so many people.
Yes.
Betsy, how about you? What are you involved with?
Well, I'm an oil painter. So I joined the Kiawah Art Guild, and we have every other Wednesday, we can paint at a local church, and it's just more fun to paint with other people rather than be by yourself. Yeah. And then we also, when we have meetings, we can go and there'll be a critique, and and it's not real critical. It's more suggestions. You can bring, if you're stuck, you can bring your work and people will help you. We also have workshops. Usually we have 2 or 3 workshops a year where they'll bring in a local artist, and even some out-of-state artists, actually, and you can sign up. And those usually are 2 or 3 day workshops. So those are really, really nice.
I didn't even know that existed.
Yes,
yeah.
Yes.
That's great.
So, and there's lots of opportunities to sell your work. I mean, people sell their work here at the town hall.
Some of the work is
really good.
Oh, we have some very good artists. Yeah. And of course, it's so beautiful here. There's so many things to paint. Yeah. So, I also am on the committee for the Kiawah Dinner Group, which is a great way to meet people. I joined that when I first came here, and have met so many nice folks through that.
I think we've probably all been involved in that over the years.
We've been involved in it for 13 years.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So, and that meets once a month, January, February, and March, and you host a dinner. You're responsible for the entree, and people bring sides. You tell them what kind of sides you need, and that's very, very fun too. Yeah. So I enjoy that. I like to cook. I like to entertain, and it's just a great way to, very informal way to meet new people.
Well, and I think that the dinner, offering of a dinner is one of the things that Pops does and does well.
Pops has the progressive dinner, which is once a year. It's usually March, April, sometime around then. And there, what we have done, it's changed over the years, but what we've come down to a formula that works is we all meet at the sandcastle first. And you've already signed up for this. It's not just random. You sign up and you state when you sign up what your preference for your part of the dinner will be, whether you want to host an entree, whether you want to do dessert. We try to save the cocktail party at the sandcastle for the new people who haven't ever participated before. So they would bring appetizers and wine to the sandcastle. Then we move on to one house for an entree and then another house for dessert. And
It's really great fun.
it's a lot of fun. Met people over the years. Again, we've done it. We've been here for over 13 years, and we've done it the whole time. And it's a way to get to see both of these things are ways to get to see other people's houses. And that's something that everybody always wants to do on this island is see the houses.
That's true. It's also a really nice way for the newer people in the community to meet some of us
Get
more
involved.
established folks. Barbara, you are also involved with Backpack Buddies, as I understand?
Let's talk about meeting people. The Kiawah Women's Group is just it's a phenomenal group. Once a month they have a coffee and they invite new people to come and join the group.
And how do
At
people...
the nest. At the nest.
At the nest? Okay. And how do people learn about it?
Well, there usually is an email that goes out from the Kiawah Women's Group, and they have a list of all of their activities for the entire year. And the monthly meeting has become very popular for that reason, because new people come, and a lot of us who are old-timers, we come and we're able to meet them and introduce them to people who are active in the group.
What are some of the more interesting or unusual activities that they've sponsored?
Well, one of the things that they have encouraged us to do is to kind of have a meet and greet at the sandcastle on the beach, to do things like that. And again, it's just a way to, bring community together, which is really important. Out of that, it was suggested to me that I think about joining a group of, men now and women with Backpack Buddies. And it's a way to kind of give back to the Johns Island community through the school system. So we literally pack bags of food for the students at various schools in the community. And, we then deliver those bags so they can have food for the weekend. Because these are kids that come to school in the morning to get breakfast and lunch.
That's terrific.
Yeah, it really is. And again, I've met such a great group of women through that process. It's another way of giving back. And from Backpack Buddies grew a group of women that I met who we all wanted to join a choir of some kind. So I am very active in my local church, Holy Spirit Church, here on a Catholic church on Johns Island. So of course we sing at Mass every Sunday. But then out of that came the Charleston Coastal Choir, which Beth's husband is a member also. So you see people from your community, but you also meet people from outside of your community, new people. So
I find
it's wonderful.
So hard to understand why no choir has ever asked me to join.
Maybe the same reason they never asked me either.
Anyway, speaking of good community activities, because it's not always just about having fun. It's also about giving back, reaching out to our Johns Island neighbors. But I think one of the things that Kiawah is most famous for, in a very, very good way, is the Turtle Patrol. So I understand that you and your husband are both involved in Turtle Patrol. Tell us about that.
Yeah, we've been there for, he's been 13 years, I've been 12 years. He's one of the truck drivers. There's a handful of truck drivers, so we're out there mostly on the truck. But you were talking about coming here and doing things as tourists or vacationers. we used to get up early enough. We found out first thing about the turtle patrol, and so we would go out.
When you first came here?
When we first came here, when we were vacationing. And so our goal in life was to retire and be on the turtle patrol, and we did it. But we get out there early morning on the truck. There's two different parts of it. The truck, which we're on most of the time, and then there's the walking patrol too. And the truck goes out. We leave here from Town Hall and goes out onto the beach every morning. We ride the whole 10 miles of the beach looking for where the new nests are, finding where the mamas laid the nests, and if they're down too low onto the beach, on the flat part of the beach, we move them up closer to the dunes so they don't get washed over by the water. So that's one part. And the other part is the walking patrol. The beach is divided up into 1 mile segments, and there are 8 different groups that cover those segments, and you walk and you check all those nests that have been placed there, and then they're called the hatching patrol. So then when they start hatching 60 days later, they're the ones who follow what the turtles do. When they see the nest has hatched, they make note of it, and then 3 days later, they go in and open to see how successful it was and all this stuff. So yeah, that's.
Well, and for those who don't know, it's one of the largest turtle organizations in the entire state. I was fortunate enough to come to your annual dinner a couple of weeks ago, excuse me, and the pride that the folks who are involved in that organization have in what you all do is just marvelous.
Well, Lynn Sager, who's in charge of it, and I mean, she's in it 365 days a year. Yeah. Even in the off season.
And Lynn, I must say, Lynn is, of course, known for her turtle patrol activities and all she's done for the organization. But she also happens to be one of the leading altos in our Holy Spirit Church Choir. Yes, so I knew her from Turtle Patrol because when I first met her, it was through that activity. And then when I joined the choir at Holy Spirit, she was there. So
she's also a heck of a golfer.
I was going to say, she's a big golfer, too.
Yes. So Betsy and I are both part of the Governor's Club 9-hole group. So that's something else that people can get involved with?
Yes, and you don't have to be a good golfer because I have the highest handicap you can have, and they still accept me.
And I'm competing with you. I'm trying to get there as well. No. So what else? I think you had mentioned something about King.
Yes, yeah.
We haven't talked about King yet, have we?
No, we haven't.
Tell us about that.
King is the Kiawah Island Naturalist Group. It's really been expanded over the years. It's not only about nature, it's also about historical things. Yep. And we will go on field trips, and the field trips tend to be very interesting.
Really
and
exciting.
The women's group goes on field trips too.
As a matter of fact, we're going to the Mepkin Abbey trip in a couple of weeks.
Oh yes, to see the creches.
And that's put together by King. That's one of the King trips.
That's right.
Yeah.
And I have found, just through reading some of the literature that's sent out, that King sponsors some of the most unique and interesting programs of any organization on the island.
Well, last year I did the Harbor Masters tour.
Oh yeah, that was great.
Yes,
that was really great.
I think you guys may have been on that.
Yeah, we were on that. That was one of the best.
It was really good. I didn't even know what a Harbor Master did, and then it was right before that ship accident in Baltimore.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
So I think that gave us some insight on what Harbor Masters do, and how things can go wrong and how dangerous it is. We're getting ready to do one that I am setting up that's we have a guide from the Conservancy that's going to take us through the new property that used to be the Side-Eye Limehouse farm market and talk about the flora and the fauna and what they plan to do with that and all the ecosystems. So I'm hoping that that'll be a really good one.
And that's where they're going to be growing some native sweetgrass, I believe, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, to help out into the basket making.
And the Kiawah Women's Group had someone in to teach them how to make sweetgrass baskets.
Yeah.
So there again, you've got this incredible wide variety of options that are available to.
And every year, King does lots of boat trips. Despite the fact that
Right.
we live near and on the water, the people here love to go on boat trips. We've gone to DeVoe Bank. We did Bull Island. We did the Morris Island out by the lighthouse. But there's at least 1 or 2 boat trips every year with King. The last couple of years, they also did an overnight to some of the battlefields upstate.
And that was Paul Nelson. Paul Nelson heads
Right.
up the,
He's
at
the head
King
of
Group.
King.
So
And he does.
Is that who you would get in touch with if a viewer was
Yes,
interested?
Paul Nelson
Paul
has
Nelson.
been the chair of it.
Paul and Claire Nelson did. Again, both of them are veterans. They both are West Point graduates.
I didn't know that.
Yes. And so that's some of the interesting things you find out
Right.
about
About the
because
people
of
that you're playing
that
with.
the people that live on Kiawah. Everybody's got really interesting stories, and you find that out as you share community with them. Paul and Claire also are members of Holy Spirit, and they are 2 of the best pickleball players that I have in my
Right.
group. So
They're tall. They got long arms and
Right.
legs.
Well,
They-
talking about finding out unique things, the town of Kiawah brings in entertainers.
Oh, the Arts
And
Council.
last night I went to, it was a singer, Zora, who had a Hungarian,
Yeah.
she was part American, part Hungarian, but one of our own residents was a circuit dancer. I don't know if she was in Cirque du Soleil, but she had trained for that. So she was up in the air doing all these dance moves with hoops and ropes, and it was just really, it was very eclectic. It was very interesting.
Yes, so viewers should know about the Arts Council because they sponsor a real wide variety of different types of programs.
Music, dancing, plays, ballet, yes.
And it's all right on the island and open to anybody.
one of the things that King did, I think it was probably last year or 2 years ago, we took a trip to Dafuski Island, which has a very, very rich history in South Carolina. And while I was there, one of my aunt's husband's families had been there for several generations, and I only realized that when I went on that trip.
Oh,
And I almost
my.
didn't go, so I was able to. So it's again, it's a really great mixture that not only King but a lot of the organizations
Right.
And
put on.
that was one where we did the whole thing with a bus and had boxed lunches
Yeah,
and had a meal down there
that
and
was great.
everything.
Yeah.
And so, we try to take care of the whole thing with King.
Well, and the Turtle Patrol, obviously, back to doing good for the community as well as having fun. There's also kind of a sister program, the Shorebird Stewardship Program. So while Turtle Patrol looks out for our beloved loggerhead turtles, the Shorebird Stewards try to educate beachgoers on the cycles of migration of some of our shorebirds.
Our little
and
red knots.
Our little red knots and piping plovers and some of the threatened species. And so they're out there trying to do good.
Why we have the rules we have, because people think we're overdone with rules, but there's a reason why we have them.
Exactly. And the way to find out about these kinds of activities is to go on the town's website, the Town of Kiawah Island, Toki website, and there's just this wide variety of options that are available.
One of the other things I really wanted to mention, 2 things, and again connected to the sandcastle, at least for me, is the Our World, which is headed up.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, Our
And you've
World.
been involved with that for
Yes,
years.
exactly.
Yes.
And all of the great speakers over the years that have come in, just so informational and helpful, talking about the history of not only South Carolina, but the present day history, how we got to where we are, Kiawah Island, just really interesting speakers.
If you haven't been attending some Our World presentations, you have just missed
You've missed a lot.
a lot. And take the time on Thursday afternoons at 3 o'clock every couple of weeks to attend these programs. As Barbara has mentioned, it's everything from local authors and artists to the head of the Charleston Symphony to history and
what's it called? Spoleto. The head of the Spoleto
head of
came in. Yeah,
Spoleto. That's
but
right.
so many of them, I'd say maybe a third of them are people that we live with here on the island.
Yeah, many
a lot
of
of
them.
these people, college professors and things like that, who have experience all over the world. The guy who the Hunley Museum is named after lives here on the island. He came and talked to us one time, showed us all the pictures of bringing the Hunley up and everything. That was...
Yeah, we've had local authors, local artists, local musicians, but we also have had folks from distant assignments who have come and talked about their international experiences or talked about Afghanistan or again, a wide variety of political journalists. We have had Post and Courier editors. We've had the op-ed writers.
Boston
We've got
Globe guy.
Yeah, it's a hugely diverse group of offerings. And again, if you're not attending, you're just missing a highlight of your week.
That umbrella of our world.
Yes.
And it's 1 hour long, so
That's-
it's not an overdose. It's
That's
only
right.
1 hour long.
Betsy, you were going to say?
Well, I don't remember what I was going to say, but I have attended a lot of the Our
I
World.
love the Our World stuff.
One of them that I think a lot of people like is that history of rock and roll that goes through the different, starting maybe with Elvis, and then it goes into the different.
Yeah.
And I
Yes.
also saw one where it was a patent attorney talking about AI and what kind of challenges that's going to bring in the patent world, which was a
that
little
was phenomenal.
scary.
Yeah.
So for folks who aren't as familiar with Our World, periodically they offer up an educational series. Usually it's a one-off lecture that's 45 minutes to an hour, as Beth mentioned, but sometimes it'll be a 3 or 4-part educational series. So recently there was one on music and Elvis through the Beatles, and then we've had shows on CRISPR, on AI, so some pretty heavy-duty scientific offerings as well. Again, the variety is.
I remember they did, it just said a one-off on, they were people who were turning 65 that year. They did a whole series on Social Security, how you apply, and the room was packed. I was told by several people, I'm so glad I went, but people didn't realize that was under the umbrella of Our World, which was great.
Right.
And as we've also done with reference to aging, we've done mental health issues and the aging brain. And there's a lot of curiosity about that, as you can well understand.
And then there's the also at the Sandcastle Book Club, which just has attracted. That's another good way for people who are new to the island to join a group and get to meet a lot of people. And out of the Sandcastle Book Club, the spin-off to that for our group anyway, we have a neighborhood book club. So it's only 8 or 10 people. It's much smaller than the overall Sandcastle Book Club. But again, it came out of us meeting and realizing we live around the corner from each other. And so we have our monthly meetings, and we do different books. So it has a different kind of flavor.
We've done that as well in my neighborhood.
Yeah, I'm in one too.
Yeah, and it's a way to meet people, but then it's a way to take it offline.
Yes.
Yeah.
Form your own group and really form deep friendships.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Speaking of the aging game, or the aging brain, have any of you been to the trivia night at the Sandcastle?
yeah.
Oh, yes.
Have any of us
We've won a
actually
couple of
won?
times.
Oh, no.
Yes, we have.
My table has never won. We've come in close.
There's so many
funny.
people here that live here that had different types of jobs.
Yes, that's the
that
thing.
you can, people bring their own knowledge of a lot of different areas.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yes, so that's pure fun.
Yes.
And
It's a lot of laughs.
it's a lot of laughs. It's a lot of bad guesses, but it is fun.
I didn't know that. Wow.
I know. Have we missed anything? I mean, we've touched on so many different so many different topics, so many different activities. Is there any favorite one that we've missed, Beth?
POPs, property owners parties. That's a very big one. POPs has been around for 25, 30 years, much longer than I ever realized. And I've been on the group about 8 years now, and on the little committee. And I started out, I was the chair, and then they store all our stuff at my house. And I've been doing the communications for them too. I write and send it to the Kika people. But 2 years ago, Kika pulled us in under their umbrella. So we help them with more events now. We put on about 5 events a year, and we have been doing for the last, I don't know how many years, Share the Love, that's always on Valentine's Day. Then we do something in the March, April range. Most of the time we do something in May. We take summer off mostly, and then we have September, October, something we've done. This year we're doing Oktoberfest. And most of them have themes. Most of them have themes. Sometimes you'll even get dressed for the themes. And then we have the tree lighting that's coming up just next week at the Sandcastle. And so
Can anyone attend?
anyone can attend. It's a catered dinner. It's advertised in the weekly Kika Blast. And we usually will put a save the date out, and then about a month ahead of time, it opens up to sign up for it. You do have to sign up, and then your Kika account will get charged for it, whatever the cost is. And we try to keep the cost reasonable. And these dinners include your beer and wine. And
What about the
sometimes
Kentucky
there's a
Derby
little
party?
special, huh?
The Kentucky Derby party.
That was our first, it was a themed one. Oh my gosh, the ladies in their dresses and the hats, the guys in bow ties. It was great.
much fun.
It was great.
I missed
That was
that.
great.
We had a Cinco de Mayo a couple of years ago, and we're having another one in 25. So that's one where you can dress, you can dance. We had a dance class. A guy came in for Cinco de Mayo and
Zumba.
did the samba for us, and everybody got up and danced. I mean, all right, I won't say everybody. Mostly the
gonna say.
women. And then all the women, and then there was
Unless they
one
had too
special
many
guy
margaritas.
who got up and danced. But we just had a Halloween party, and for whatever reason, people on Kiawah like to get dressed up. And, you know, it's always surprising. And we had great costumes. I mean, what people come up with. But the thing is, all of these, if you don't want to get dressed up for Halloween, you don't have to. So there are still a number of people who come just as their normal self. But we've done beach-themed parties and had the whole Margaritaville thing going. We've done St. Patrick's Day. We did Mad Men and served martinis, and the ladies again wore their basic black dresses, and the guys wore their pearls.
The cigarette holders with no
Yes,
cigarettes
the
in them.
cigarette holders, the scarf over the shoulder, and the guys wore suits and ties. Now, we know they don't like to, but we figure for one time you can do
Those
this.
of them who still have suits.
Just in time, right?
Yeah.
Isn't it wonderful how all of those suits go away
Yeah, most of it goes
after a
away.
couple of years?
But the other thing about having all of these groups, which is wonderful, but I think, for me anyway, one of the best things about Kiawah is if you don't want to join a group or you don't want to go to a meeting, you can just take in all the beauty of this island. I mean, just the living in amongst the trees and the birds and the beach and the ocean. You kind of wake up every morning just,
Wow.
Feeling so blessed that we can
I've
live
been
here.
here. Yeah. So
Jump on your bicycle and
yeah.
go.
Right.
And all the biker babes
Biker
groups.
babes.
Oh, yes,
Biker
we haven't
babes,
talked
there's
about,
one.
and we didn't talk about Mahjong or Canasta.
Yeah,
which
those two.
also are weekly. And you can learn by just attending. You don't have to know how to play either
Yeah,
of
I
those.
didn't know how to play Mahjong when I first went, and I got brave. And
I think we all
Sat there and-
teach each other.
And there's Bible study. I mean, there's a whole group of
Photography club.
yeah.
Photography
gardening.
club is huge.
The gardening club is huge. Yeah.
And I would be remiss if I didn't mention Duplicate Bridge.
Oh, right.
So many people are a little bit scared off by the prospect of a competitive bridge game, but I have to tell the folks who are watching that the Kiawah Seabrook game is very, very friendly. And while there are some good players, there are also a lot of beginners, and everybody is welcome. And for Duplicate Bridge, it is a remarkably friendly game, and anybody who plays competitive bridge knows that caveat about for duplicate bridge it's friendly, but it truly is. And so I would encourage, and folks, if interested, can contact me, and I can put them in touch with the right people and provide all of the information.
Well, I think a lot of this information, there's a little flyer that Kika puts out every year, and it's over at the Sandcastle.
Really?
Mm-hmm. In one of their little desk stands there. There's a flyer with contact information for all these different groups. Not all these different groups, most of the groups.
Some of them, yeah.
Right. And the Kika
Especially the ones
website.
the Kika website.
Kika website has
has
the
a
same
drop-down
information.
menu that lists
Yeah.
all of them too.
Okay, great. And the town website does as well, and people can get in touch with me if they have questions, and I can at least point them in the right direction.
Exactly.
And the towns tells you where all the stuff for the cultural arts
Yeah.
for that stuff is.
So really, if you want to be busy here, and
can be as busy as you want.
do more than just enjoy the beauty and of living where we live. There's so much to do, and even when you're doing good for the community, you're probably going to be having fun while you're doing good. It's an awfully good place to spend this part of our lives. So ladies, thank you so much for being part of this. It's been fun.
Thanks for
It's been
inviting me.
informative. I really,
Your services.
Yes, thank you.
all of you guys, I know how much you give back to the community, so right back at you. Thank you so
Thank you.
much.
Thank you.
This concludes another episode of Toki Talk. As always, we encourage you to sign up for the town's weekly e-blast. Follow us on social media and participate in or watch our town meetings online. We look forward to seeing you at upcoming town events. Thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more podcasts to come.